Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. Welcome to our webinar, Modern Scheduling and the Digital Work Stack. My name is Derek. I am a product marketing manager here at Calanley. I am joined by our amazing speaker, Annie, who you'll hear from in a moment. But I also wanted to introduce some of the other panelists on our call today. So we are also joined by account executive Sophie Berger, as well as product managers Kurt Heinrich and Kirsten Nance. And we also have product specialist Allison Rudetsky on the call. A couple of housekeeping items. So there will be time at the end for Q&A, but throughout the session, as questions come to your mind, feel free to go ahead and drop those in the Q&A box, and you'll be able to find that located at the bottom of your Zoom window on the toolbar. It says Q&A, and we'll be able to respond to those either live or we'll save some at the end for Annie to answer. Awesome. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into a brief agenda. So a few items on deck today. First, we'll cover why you should add modern scheduling to your work stack. Then we'll cover how Calendly sort of solves this gap and helps to drive your business objectives forward. Then we'll have Sophie give us a quick overview of Calendly and our platform. And finally, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. And the entire session is slotted to take about 45 minutes. And as Allison mentioned, this session will be recorded. And so we'll be able to follow up with all of you afterwards with a link if you want to go ahead and reference it or be able to pass it on to other folks. Awesome. And so with that, I am going to go ahead and kick it off to my colleague, Annie.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Derek. For those of you I haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Annie Pearl, and I am the Chief Product Officer here at Calanley. Super excited to be here today to share a little bit more about the shift that we're seeing in how meetings are occurring and how Calendly is innovating to help businesses like yours keep up with this demand. So I think we all know that finding a time to meet is incredibly painful. And because of the shift that we're seeing to kind of this more distributed remote workforce, where more and more interactions are being scheduled instead of happening ad hoc, and in this kind of increasingly digitized world, our schedules are really filling up faster than ever. And it's really only getting worse, with 34% of sales reps' time and 2/3 of recruiters' time being spent in external meetings alone. And in fact, our team recently ran a study and found that people on average send 7.3 emails to set a single meeting. And that's just for one meeting. These inefficiencies, they're occurring every day across your entire organization. And these inefficiencies, they have real negative consequences on your business and on your people. A recent study found that half of all sales now go to the vendor that simply responds first. 60% of recruiters say they regularly lose candidates before they can even get that first interview scheduled. And businesses lost $75 billion in 2018 due to poor customer service. So the impact of these inefficiencies are real. Now, the good news is that many of our work tools have evolved to help us keep up with this pace. You have messaging tools like Slack that are quickly replacing email with chat inside of our organizations. And this really helps to make collaboration quicker and more convenient. You have video conferencing tools like Zoom, which we're on today, giving us the ability to meet anywhere, anytime with anyone, replacing that face-to-face meeting with more remote and virtual work. And you have e-signature tools like DocuSign, which have even gotten rid of the need for printing and scanning and uploading documents so that we can keep business processes moving as quickly as possible. But for all the innovation we've seen in our workplace tools, the process of setting up a meeting is still painful and manual. And as the first step in really making any connection, scheduling is arguably one of the most important touch points, but it's still been relegated to that back and forth of email. And here at Calendly, we're really looking to bring that same power and simplicity that we've started to become accustomed to with all these other work tools like messaging, like video conferencing, and we're going to bring that to our scheduling workflows. And that's exactly what we do. We're really replacing the outdated scheduling process of the past with a fast, intuitive platform that takes care of all the logistics and administrative work of meetings. So while the status quo creates this inconsistent time sync experience with endless back and forths via email, Calendly's modern scheduling platform is predictable, it's simplified, and it's seamless. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with Calendly or are new, let me give you just a quick overview of the company. We were founded in 2013, and our growth in less than 10 years has been truly phenomenal. And I think it really just speaks to how much the business world has needed a better way to schedule. We have over 10 million users, and we've powered more than 200 million meetings in 2020 alone. And we're consistently rated as the top scheduling platform by G2. And we're powering interactions for innovative companies in every industry, including Lyft, Visa, Hulu, and tens of thousands of other amazing companies. And we're not just limited to one type of meeting or even one department or a subset of users. Calendly can be used by your teams across your entire organization for faster, more seamless handoffs. All right, so how exactly do we make meetings happen? Well, our platform really has three core value propositions. The first, it's simple. We connect teams to candidates, prospects, and customers quickly and seamlessly. It's consistent. We give you the tools to standardize communications and best practices before, during, and after meetings. And it's scalable. With enterprise-grade admin functionality, we allow you to easily organize and manage teams and workflows at scale. So diving in deeper on our first value proposition around simplicity, from day one, we've really focused on creating an intentional, frictionless experience, giving users the ability to book from anywhere, whether that's the web, their mobile device, or embedded directly into your website. We give users the ability to access Calendly directly from their inbox, and through our extensions, users can quickly access Calendly without ever leaving their browser. So we're really focused on that simplicity of the user experience. And as we continue to invest in creating a frictionless user experience, we're going to go deeper here. And we're going to be building in some intelligent routing capabilities to route visitors to the right team member automatically, based on information that they've shared with us. So we're going to allow you to build your own custom intake form and outline the various data points that you want us to use, like company size, location, or the role of the visitor who's coming to your website, and then have routing conditions to send that visitor to the right person within your company as seamlessly as possible. Our second value proposition is all about consistent execution. This means we standardize your scheduling experience through team scheduling, workflows, and integrations, so every meeting is consistent and standardized across your entire organization. So as you look to onboard teams of users to Calendly, we offer powerful event types for multi-user orgs. So with group event types, we let multiple invitees meet with you at one time. With collective event types, we give you the ability to offer up several hosts within an organization to invite team members to join them. And with round robins, we create an event that cycles between multiple hosts. Our platform also handles all the reminding and confirming and connecting that comes with your meetings. And this really means that your team can get back to more important work, like actually making a meaningful connection, rather than worrying about the logistics or the administrative work that's associated with meetings. And through these reminders, we can really help minimize things like no-shows and cancellations. We can send timely thank you notes and follow-ups after a meeting, ensuring every prospect, every customer, or recruit receives standardized and professional communication. And we're currently working to make these powerful workflows available for teams, so you can standardize these great impressions across your entire organization. So these team-based workflows will allow administrators to add automated communication to their team event types. So whether it's a sales demo or an interview, every touch point is going to receive that consistent outreach without any additional overhead from your team. And lastly, through our robust ecosystem of over 70 powerful integrations, you can ensure that scheduling can happen from wherever your users are getting their work done. For example, teams can connect Calendly to Salesforce and automatically create and update leads, contacts, or opportunities based on who reps are meeting with. With our greenhouse integration, recruiters and candidates can schedule interviews right on their calendar without leaving the greenhouse platform. And finally, teams can use our intercom integration, for example, to schedule meetings with visitors right from the intercom messenger. As part of our final value proposition around scalability, we offer enterprise-grade security and administration capabilities to meet the needs of businesses big and small. And we're excited to share some of the recent releases that we actually just made in this area. So SAML-based single sign-on is going to allow you to deploy Calendly with confidence across your entire organization by requiring members to authenticate using a single set of credentials consistent with your identity provider. Support for provisioning via SCIM is going to allow you to automatically onboard and offboard users via your identity provider, which will really reduce that time and effort of manual work. And with user groups, you can organize and manage members of your Calendly organization at scale by delegating down responsibility for the management of groups of individuals or teams to group admins, who can then assign event types and templates and manage team members within their group. And we're currently working on continuing to provide you with deeper insights into your team's meeting and engagement activity through advanced reporting capabilities that will automatically capture your team's scheduling data with things like cancellation rates, total meetings, and reschedule rates, so you can measure KPIs that matter to you and course correct with your teams where needed. So, as you've hopefully seen, Calendly is the modern scheduling platform for the enterprise, and we're way more than just a scheduling link. We really help you standardize the communication before, during, and after a meeting, so your team has more time to focus on making great connections. We work with virtually every calendar and video conferencing platform, so every team member can hit the ground running immediately. And it's not just a single department or a subset of users that can access Calendly. We can scale to thousands of users and be embedded anywhere, so you can schedule meetings with your entire ecosystem of customers, partners, and vendors. You can embed Calendly in your email, on your website, or use our APIs to design your own custom experience. And Calendly is really the modern scheduling platform that powers all of your external interactions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sophie Berger, who's going to bring some of this to life through a demo. Take it away, Sophie.
Thanks, Annie, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie Berger. I'm an account executive here at Calendly, and I'm going to walk you guys through just the basics of how the tool works, kind of just covering everything Annie went through in the presentation. And I'm going to start with the simple, can everyone see my screen okay? Awesome. With just the simple process of normally how you guys, most likely, many of you who have not used Calendly in the past or just aren't on a scheduling solution, they share times in an email. But we want to make that process much easier versus listing out a bunch of times and dates that work for you. Instead, all you have to do is share your availability through a link. You can even add it to something like an email signature where people can book with you every time they communicate with you via email. The process looks like this for whoever wants to book with you. You can make a nice, clean, pretty picture of yourself, write in a description here, and we integrate, like Annie mentioned before, with tons of different web conferencing tools to make this process even more streamlined for you and the person meeting with you. Right here, everything in bold and blue is what's available for someone to meet with you. And we offer dates and times that are open. We are connected to your calendar of choice as well. So that way you never get double booked, and we're only showing times that are open and within time parameters that you're willing to allow people to book meetings with you. Once they click on a date and time that they want, they fill in the details that you require for them. We always collect someone's name and email. And you can also ask customized questions. These fields can be required as well. And you can also even get a text message reminder so that they have a double reminder sent back to them. Once they schedule the meeting here, I want to show you what it looks like for you in your email inbox. So all of a sudden you get a brand new email notifying you that you have someone booking a meeting with you on May 27th. And we're going to go right to that date here. Automatically, it was created in our calendar between Harry and Sophie. And it also includes everything needed for the Zoom meeting. In the back end of the tool here, this is what it looks like when Harry logs into his account. We are automatically going to be able to connect to your calendar of your choice. We integrate with several different calendar solutions. I've chosen G Suite, but it has the same integration with other tools. And this is where we can check for conflicts so we never get double booked and new meetings get added to our calendar automatically. Harry can then create several different what we call event types or just different types of meetings he wants to offer. The reason we do this is some might be shorter in length or longer in lengths. Some you might want to offer on certain days of the weeks, in your mornings or your afternoons. Within these, you can share them as a link like we just went through. You can also add specific times to an email with a certain date. You can click those different times, click continue, and you can copy and paste that into an email as well. You can also customize these all to your liking. You can call these meetings whatever you would like. You can make their locations whatever you would like, whether that's Zoom, in person, over the phone, etc. You can write a description of these meetings as well, and each of them will have their own individual link. You can customize availability in here with certain date ranges, durations, even custom hours. So this means that no one can book me on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays for this type of meeting or before or after these timeframes. I mentioned this earlier, but you can also set up questions that are customized for this type of meeting so you can gather more information prior to meeting with this individual. And any of these fields can be required, and they can be any of these following answer types. And then I want to touch on workflows, which Annie mentioned as well. So these are making sure that people are getting, that you're actually taking a lot of work off yourself too by creating workflows. These are automations. We have several different templates within the tool that you can utilize, or you can create your own. For example, in a sales meeting like myself, I would love to use a workflow like this where I can send additional resources after someone might have met with me after a demo. So I can send out a specific email. I can do it immediately, or I can choose when I want it to go out. And I can customize the message that goes out to that individual. And this is automatically going to be done for me versus me having to remember to send it out every single time. From there, we also have team meetings as well. So everything we touched on was just sharing Harry's individual availability, but Harry can also create teams and collaborate with his colleagues. So in here, I have several different teams built out. Some of the different team meetings we offer, like Annie mentioned, are round robins, collective meetings, group meetings. Round robin allows you to go back and forth between different individuals who are all capable of running a certain type of meeting. And we can either optimize for availability, we can prioritize people over another, or we can either optimize for equal distribution and make it completely fair so that people are getting an equal number of meetings. Another team offering would be collective, allowing multiple people internally to collaborate together on a meeting. So this is saying that all three of these individuals have to be on this meeting together, only showing times they're all open. A group meeting, a great example would be, for example, like a webinar that we're all on today. So a group meeting would be one person hosting this meeting and having a max number of invitees in that spot that can join that same exact meeting. And that is really the basics of Calendly. And I'm going to bring it back to Annie. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you, Sophie. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and turn it over to all of you for some Q&A. So you can go ahead and enter in your questions into the Q&A chat box. It looks like a few of you have already started to do that already. I think Allison has already started answering some of the more product specific questions in the chat. So I'll start to answer a few that kind of haven't been answered yet. So this first one, what are the key themes driving Calendly's product roadmap for the next year? So I touched on some of the roadmap stuff as part of the presentation, but I'll give kind of a higher level overview of kind of where are we investing in the next year. Really breaks down into 4 key areas. The first is really improving the overall admin experience. So we want to make sure that you all or those of you who are admins of your organization are really able, whether you're a big company or a small company, we want to make sure that you can easily manage users and groups and processes and settings and all of that at scale. So a lot of work that Kirsten, who's on this call with us, and team are doing to make sure that we're giving the admins of our organization the ability to manage their account at scale. The kind of second area that we're investing in is all about security and compliance. So you heard me touch on a couple of these that we recently released, but we want to make sure we're providing the right level of control for businesses in order to meet kind of their security and compliance needs. The third is really more robust reporting and insights capabilities. So I touched on the fact that we're starting to think about, deepening the level of investment we have in our reporting capabilities, because we want to give you all as customers insight into how your organizations or your teams or groups of users, how they're, what does their meeting life cycle look like, and how are they performing over time, so that you can really monitor your KPIs and ultimately work with your teams to kind of course correct if needed. And then lastly, we're doing a lot of work on more of the end user side to really think about how do we provide support for new meeting scenarios, new workflows, as well as exploring, new integrations to add to our already, robust ecosystem. And really the goal there is how do we think about new meeting scenarios, workflows, and integrations for kind of larger teams and multi-user organizations. So that's a little bit of so admin experience, kind of security and compliance, reporting and insights, and then lastly, sort of end user tools to support multi-user organizations and larger teams. Okay, we've got another question here. What are the teams or departments that you see benefiting the most from Calendly's scheduling platform? I love this question. One of the reasons I actually just joined Calendly only 3 months ago in this role. And one of the reasons I joined is because this is such a universal pain point that is truly felt by anyone in any department within any organization, regardless of size or vertical or function. So I think it really is a tool that's applicable to really anyone who is externally scheduling. That being said, some of the use cases that we see most frequently, I touched on kind of all 3 of these during the presentation, but sales, right? As we sort of covered in the beginning, sales teams today are, we're sort of asking them not just to be experts in their product and with their customers, but also to be kind of hyper responsive and easy to reach. So Calendly is really a great solution to making sure that your sales team is having that customer interaction as quickly as possible. The second sort of department we see a lot of traction in is with recruiting. Similarly, I think recruiting teams today are being met with really steep competition over candidates. The companies who can deliver a great candidate experience are going to be those who essentially win, right? And get the best talent. And so I think scheduling is such a big part of the overall candidate experience. This is where we start to see Calendly really helping recruiters make that great impression with prospective candidates. And then lastly, support is sort of the third department that we see a lot of traction in. I think as we're seeing support teams becoming more and more of a strategic lever for organizations, many businesses have come to the realization that it's more, impactful to try and retain and expand your existing customers than it is go out and acquire new customers. So we're seeing support teams who are sort of really looking to deliver delightful experiences for their customers using Calendly to really help better support those interactions. So those are the 3 departments that we really see a ton of traction in today. But like I said, we're really one of the beautiful things about Calendly is we really can solve problems for anyone who has a use case around external scheduling. Let's see here. Workflow question. Kurt, I'm going to turn this one over to you. Is there a place online where you list or suggest common workflow examples and uses?
Yeah, hey, Kurt here, the product manager for workflows. So great question. We actually have something we call a template gallery inside the product. So it's part of our workflows feature. And when you go to create a new workflow, the first step is it pulls up a template gallery and we have in there about 15 different workflows, common use cases that you can pick from. Most of them have to do with different, like sending an email reminder before the meeting, for example, or sending an email follow-up after, or sending the text to reconfirm that someone's going to be at the meeting. So those are some of the examples of things that we have in there. And then also you can customize. So those are really just templates as a starting point. So you can customize them even further and personalize them when you get into it. So.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. I just saw this one. I love this functionality, so I want to make sure to answer. Is it possible to embed the calendar availability into an email rather than embedding the link? So yes, this is something that really helps with the invitee's experience of receiving, information about Calanley. So when you go to share the event type, there's an option to share the actual link, Calanley link, but there's also an option to embed into email. So you'll copy, the certain number of times that you want to be able to show in the email and just paste that right in the email. So it's really easy for your invitee to pick a time from a list of times that you give them. And then there's always the availability for the invitee to click a link to show more times if the times that you embedded into the email, if none of them work. So it's a really great feature to, again, cut down the time that it takes to get someone scheduled because it's right there in front of the invitee within the email. All right, Kirsten, a question about Octa. I'm going to hand this one over to you. Does Calendly work with Octa now? I know it was in beta previously.
That's a great question. We have rolled this feature out. Our SAML integration works with a variety of identity providers, and we've also recently been added to the Octa integration network. But in addition to Octa, we work with OneLogin, Azure, Ping, pretty much any flavor of identity provider. We can integrate with that. This is on our newest plan, on our enterprise plan. So if you are interested, do reach out to our sales team and get more information.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, there's a question here. Has the update for team members to input their availability in Calendly available now? And there was a similar question, so I'm going to kind of combine these. Currently, my team has, when setting available times, is it possible to only set a certain type of appointments at any given time? Say a recruiter only wants to interview for specific types of positions in the morning and a different type of position in the afternoon. So yes, we currently have something we call schedules, which is going to allow you to really better manage your availability. So you can create various schedules based on what availability you want to offer. So in that example of the recruiter, you could create 2 different schedules based on the time you want to offer up to candidates based on whatever role you might be recruiting for. And we're also currently working on adding in additional ways to manage availability. So something that we're working on right now is actually going to allow for double booking so that you can override certain events that are on your calendar to make room for really important meetings. So for example, I often have blocks of time on my calendar for focus time to actually get some heads down work. If I'm, sending out an invite to a potential candidate, I might want to say that I'm okay if we double book over that. My focus time. So we're continuing to add in more and more ways for you to really manage your availability. Let's see, can you give more details around timeline for the features that are upcoming that you covered in the presentation? So yeah, all the features that I kind of talked about as upcoming within each of the different sections, they'll be released over the course of kind of the next couple of quarters in 2021. So things I touched on were workflows for teams. So Kurt was talking about workflows today. Those are only available for individual users, event types. And so we're going to be making those available for those team event types. Talked about intelligent routing as well as advanced reporting capabilities. So those are all kind of some of the features we walked over that we're currently in sort of build right now, but we'll be working on those over the course of the next several quarters. Okay, I had a fun one I saw around before Calendly, why do you think scheduling had been largely overlooked by the tech industry? This is a great question. I don't want to speak for Tope, who is our founder and CEO, as to why he started Calendly, although it's a great story. So for any of you that haven't read about the founder story from Tope, a pretty incredible journey that he went on to build Calendly. But I think from my own experience as sort of a product leader in tech, I think oftentimes, even though scheduling is sort of like a really big pain point, everyone has experienced the same painful back and forth. Everyone in business has had to set up meetings this way. So sometimes, ironically, when a pain point is so universal and so common, people sort of think, well, this is just the way it is, right? It's hard to recognize that it's a problem that could actually be solved, even when it's kind of right there in front of you. I think DocuSign and e-signatures are really a great example of this, where today the idea of signing a document electronically, it's a total no-brainer, right? It's just what we do. But if you think 10 years ago, this was just not normal, right? You would download and you'd print and you'd sign and you'd fax and you'd do all of the sort of more manual work to get a document signed. So I think, we as people are adaptable and we're resilient. And so it really takes an entrepreneur to come and sort of question the status quo and sort of say, why exactly are we still sort of doing the back and forth of email when we could probably create a better way to do this? So I don't know that I have the answer, but I think if you think about other sort of disruptions that have happened using technology over the years, they're often to problems that when you look in hindsight, you go, well, that seems pretty obvious. Why didn't someone come up with that sooner? All right, let's see, what else do we have here? There was a question around just what are all the meeting types you support? So I'm combining a lot of different questions where there were questions around, can you do this? Can you do that? So I'll give a quick overview of 5 different meeting types. So we have our one-on-one meetings. So that's going to allow an invitee to pick a time to meet with you directly. We have our group meeting types, which is going to allow multiple invitees to pick a time with you. We have collective event types, which is going to allow you to host an event with other people within your organization and let invitees pick a time when you're all available. We talked about the round robin, which is going to create an event that kind of cycles between multiple hosts. And then we also have, those were sort of 4 event types. We also have a one-off meeting. So for those of you who aren't aware, this really allows you to do a more kind of ad hoc creation of a meeting to offer up specific times for an invitee. So if you don't want to create an event type, which sort of has a lot more, settings around it and allows someone to book time with you, several times over if you allow them to, the one-off meeting allows you to create more of an ad hoc meeting and offer up specific times that you want to give someone to meet, usually, more quickly. And again, something that you don't really expect to be recurring. And we're also, like I mentioned, as I talked about the roadmap, we're actively working on adding in, new meeting scenarios and new meeting types to cover additional scenarios for both solo users as well as for teams of users. Cool. So there's a quick question here around the demo. So Sophie, the demo that was just shown, is that at the basic level, or do I need to purchase a package in order to access the functionality that you showed?
Great question. So what I was showing was a pro plan. So an individual can purchase a pro plan, but that is not our basic plan. Individuals and teams can be on the pro plan. The basic plan only allows you to do one meeting type, not multiple different meeting types. It has no team functionality to be able to collaborate or do round robins, things of that nature. It also does not have any of our integrations that we offer. Besides, it does have web conferencing, which does not have integrations with CRM tools and Google Analytics, et cetera. It also does not have those workflows, those automations around meeting types that can go out as soon as a meeting is scheduled, before it happens, or afterwards.
Great. So a couple more questions, and I think we're going to wrap. Kurt, a question around workflows. Will the new workflow for teams allow for managing of other people's workflows? We could really use that. We only have a couple of power users that would manage Teams availability.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, the workflows for teams will allow admins and team managers to create workflows for team event types. So those would be the primary users that would go in for that. And then also each individual user could still have their own personal workflows that they could either create themselves, or an admin could go in and create on behalf of them. But admins can always go in and change those workflows or ones for teams.
Great. Okay, final question. I'm going to combine two. These are, again, questions around specific event types. Is there a Calendly type where you can provide your Calendly to several external invitees where they can coordinate to arrange one meeting with me? Yep, so that is the group event type. That's going to allow multiple invitees to pick a time with you to meet. And then there's another question, is it possible to have individuals book a meeting with a team instead of just one person? And yep, so that is what the collective event type is. So that means within an organization, we could set up multiple folks who internally need to meet with folks externally, and it will sort of collect the time between all the folks internally and share that out so that individuals can book a meeting with the team. So with that, Derek, I will pass it over to you to wrap things up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annie, Sophie, Kirsten, and Kurt. We really appreciate all of your expertise, and Allison also for being on the line to help support a lot of these questions. And of course, thank you to the rest of you for joining. We hope that you learned something new today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. The best way that we recommend is to go ahead and reach out to our sales team. You can get in touch with them over at calendly.com/contact. They'll be able to get really in depth with you on your specific problems, your specific product needs, and really work with you to sort of identify if Calendly is the right fit for you. So thank you all again so much for joining. That wraps our session. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.